Teresa, as an actress and a writer, do you feel that with your name, Huang, do you feel immediately slotted when you walk into the room as well?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say I feel like they don't feel anything, but you know, that's kind of how I choose to be in the world. I don't make any assumptions that on other people that they're making any assumptions about me, because I know that once they get to know me and they get to know my personality, that shows through, and it shows through that I'm very, you know, I'm my own individual. So I don't per se feel anything, you know, before I go to the room, but it's my name pre-announced it, but they know they're going to get a vacation when I come to the room.
With commercials, Randall, do you feel that the productions are actually meeting the sponsors as far as diversity? I mean, you see a lot of diversity in commercials.
Yeah.
You're one of the big commercial guys.
Yeah, I've been doing my commercials since I started acting like 8 years ago. I feel like commercials has definitely, like, since I started to now, has opened up a lot in terms of actively, like, searching for actors and people that to be in the commercials that represent kind of the broad spectrum of, you know, our country. But I've also been in the theatrical, you know, in the theatrical world as well, doing TV and film. It's definitely different, you know, from the commercial world. It has opened up a lot in the commercial world.
When you're called in for auditions, Randall, do you have it in the back of your mind saying, okay, they're looking for an Asian guy to call in, but not necessarily cast?
For commercials?
Or for theatrical?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, one thing that you see as an actor, especially in the past few years, a lot is on the breakdowns. You'll see like open ethnicity, you know, we'll see anybody type of thing. And, you know, a lot of times you go through the process and you audition for it, and you know, they're seeing everybody. And they'll end up casting white often. Sometimes they'll, you know, end up casting like an ethnic person, especially if it's not a lead role, you know. But generally, if it's a lead role, yeah, you can count on not getting it, unless it's like specifically, you know, written for. If it's open ethnicity, generally, or I don't expect to get it. But I've gone out for like lead parts in pilots, and I've seen other ethnicities there, and you know, and it's in the writing too. Like they'll like little subtle things about the character. It'll be clear that the character was written as a white male lead, you know. And just as an actor reading that, when you go through the script reading that, you almost kind of right away feel like, okay, I'm just going in just to go in, you know.
So Teresa, how does that affect your creative process as far as preparing for an audition or preparing for a role when you know that it wasn't necessarily meant for a theatrical or occasion?
Well, I always just look at that as it takes the pressure off. Like I feel like there's more pressure when there's, for me at least, when it's an Asian American female role, and I feel like one of us has to be good enough to get it. Because the most painful thing is then having them go through auditions with Asian people and saying, well, we didn't find anyone who was good, so we'll give it to this redhead. So, but for me, when it's like open ethnicity, I kind of like it takes the pressure off. So I'm like, well, they're not really sure what they're looking for, so I just gotta go in there and do my thing, and you know, put the my talent shine through, and that I show them something they, you know, want. And my biggest recurring role on The Riches was that kind of a role. They were looking for all ethnicities, and they were just putting people on tape. And I was one of many, many different ethnicities, looks and shapes and sizes put on tape. I mean, so it was, you know, works the other way too.
Yeah, it does, especially if it's like not a lead role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that and echo it in saying, you know, I think that in my experience, it's a foundational problem where there aren't enough people, producers, writers, directors, casting, thinking really openly about the roles, especially in the lead roles. You know, they don't think, okay, this should be, you know, race one casting, and I should just get the what they think, because usually it's the white guy who wrote the script. You know, this is the hero I'm thinking, and even if they're saying they're open, I don't think they're always completely being open in reality. But, you know, that said, things are at least slowly moving, and, you know, talent will out to an extent, but there are just all these barriers to getting there.
I would love to jump in and ask you guys a question because you've been on the other side. One of the things that I ran into when I writer with a couple of other writers who didn't agree with the diversity casting rule, and it was kind of the double standard where they said, well, it should just be the best person for the job, you know. So we shouldn't do diversity casting because we should just get the best person for the job. And it was kind of like it was the argument against it. So I'm curious to know, you guys, when you talk to other execs or when you talk to showrunners, when you talk to people who are doing hiring, what's the answer you give them when they ask, why should I care about diversity?
I think for us, it has been part of what's the message from our leadership for at least a decade. And so it's something, at least in our culture, that you can see, it's definitely something that our leadership leaders really pushed to priority for us. So I think it's interesting because we had a conversation a couple weeks ago with Park Wild on Great Anatomy. We came to speak to our writers a few weeks ago and talk about how just having Shonda Rhimes there, being a showrunner and really being a leader in terms of first shows and things she's doing at ABC, that they had some discussions about how some other networks had some questions about how they cast certain things. That conversation actually came up. And she said, well, obviously that wouldn't be an issue for us. We can think that way. And so I think that it depends on who's the creative force and who's the person who's leading the charge in terms of that particular project and how they personally bring their life experience to their casting. But I know for us, in terms of as a company,